Hey there. So in this lesson, I'm going to show you how to make this template, which, okay, it doesn't look like much, but it's the easiest template we're going to make. And when you finish, you will be able to have this quadrant template, a bit like you have in Procreate. So you can draw a petal and it will be reflected in the other three quadrant. And you can do different petals, but also you can use it for a 4-petal flower, like a rosette, for example. And of course, you can try and make a better circle. And then you can do like a petal like this and decorate it with dots and things and do little extra petals there, sepals. So I'm going to show you how to do this template. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is to create a new document. So we go to create new. I already have here a document 1000 by 1000 pixel. This is the size I like to work with. And I quite like that it's a square. So to do these sort of transformations is best to our square. And you can, I have here RGB and 72 ppi. It doesn't really matter at this point what you put in here, because this is just a template. We're going to use the motifs made with this template in another document, so you can just change it as you like, but I leave it as it is. And then here we have the artboard, and the first thing we need to do is to do a guide. So I'm going to take the segment tool and draw a line. If you hold down the shift key, it will be a vertical line and or perfectly horizontal. And then what I'm going to do is in the align panel, make sure it's aligned to artboard and center it horizontally and vertically, and same thing here. If you don't have this align panel, you can go to window and align. And then we need to open the layers panel, and I'm going to call this guide. And I'm going to make these icons actually a bit larger. If you want to do that as well, in case, you go to panel option and you go in here, you can choose the size of your little icons here. So if I put large, you will be able to see it a bit better. So these here, I'm going to go to view, guides, and make guides. So now they are light blue, and these are our guides. I'm going to lock them, and I will make a new layer, and I will repeat again 2 lines, one horizontal and one vertical and one horizontal, in that order. So okay, center these as well, and these lines will be useful to us when we do the transformation, so Illustrator will know what we're talking about when we tell him to rotate and reflect our object that we're going to draw here. This one I'm going to rename it artwork. So while we're on this layer, I'm going to do a little object here, something like a petal, for example. Okay, doesn't have to be perfect. So if I open this, we have this type of structure. So we have our little object there and the 2 lines. We need to select the entire layer, and we go to Effect, Distort and Transform. And the first thing we need to do is to reflect this. And we need to make a copy as well, because otherwise it will just reflect it and you won't have anything here. So we have one copy and it's reflected, and we hit OK. And now we need to fill these other 2 quadrants here. So we go back to Effect, Distort and Transform. Everything is still selected. We go to Transform, and it will say that we're about to apply another effect to something that was already an effect, but it's okay, that's what we want to do. And now we need to reflect it, so we do 180 degrees. And if you hit the tab key, it will show you the preview. And as you can see, it will reflect it here. And we need another copy. Okay, so basically that's it. We've done the template. So now whatever we draw here, it will be repeated in the rest of the template. What I'd like to do is to lock these two lines as well. And let's try it. I get the block brush tool, and here we go. So as you can see here, there's one more thing we need to do, because if we draw something like that, it will, if you have a look here, it will show you the overlap. So you have to be careful, more careful than me here. But whatever you draw like this, it will show you the overlap. So what I like to do, unless you want to have an overlap like that, it's an effect that you might want. If you don't want that to happen, we can add a clipping mask. Don't worry, don't run away, it's easy, I'll show you. So what we need to do is I get rid of this. What we need to do is, in the layer just below where it says artwork, so in this layer here where it says line, we are going to draw a circle which will be touching the sides of the artboard. So I'm going to the ellipse tool. I'm going to put it in the center here, and it will say intersect. And then I start drawing the circle, and don't do this. So we need no fill and no stroke. Let's go back. So we are back here in the intersect. Start drawing the circle, and then press Alt, Control and Shift, and it will keep the circle in the middle of the artboard, and then draw it all the way up to the sides of your artboard, and then let go, first of the mouse and then of the keys. Now we have the circle. The next step is to go into the Properties panel. If you don't have it here, always go to Windows and Properties. And we just need one wedge of this circle. So we need to basically cut this circle to have just one wedge here. What we need to do then is go to the more options, these little dots here, and there is this pi start angle icon here where we write 90 degrees, and in the pi end we write 180 degrees. Okay, so as you can see now we only have this section of the circle here, the rest is disappeared. However, we need to expand it. So first of all, expand it from this panel, the properties panel. So where it says expand shape, expand it there. Then we go to object, expand. And now it's a no fill and no stroke line, wedge. So there it is. Now we can use this as our clipping mask. So it's here. We need to deselect everything. So just click somewhere in the artboard. Nothing needs to be selected. Don't select anything like this here, the dots. So it needs to be, the layer needs to be targeted as just to make it different from selected, otherwise it might be confusing. So we target the layer, don't select it like that, just target, and then we go to this, the hamburger menu, these little lines here, and we say make clipping mask. And that is made a clipping mask, and you can see here it's underlined, so that means it's a clipping mask. All right, and you can see it or hide it or show it. And now if we go back to our block brush tool, hopefully it should be working. Let's try it. So we do our petal and we go over, and as you can see it's clipped it. So if I hide the clipping mask, oops, not that one, this one, you can see there is a little bit overhanging this side. If we show it, then that little bit will be removed and you won't see it. Now, of course, you might want that sort of effect, because let's hide this for a while, and we can do something like that, and you have this effect. So with the clipping mask, that won't show, of course. So it depends on what you want to do, but it's nice to have it there as an option. And as you can see, it's not difficult to do. And of course, if you have any questions, you can always ask me. So now the next thing to do, I'm going to actually lock that as well. And I'm going to delete everything. So now your document should look like this. You have your artwork layer, like this. You have your clipping mask, your two lines, and your guide. We need to save these as a template because we don't want to do this every single time, right? So let's save it as a template, and you can go back time and time again and reuse it, and you don't have to do all this again ever, unless you lose the file, but don't do that. So let's go to save as template. So I'm not going to try and save it in the Illustrator templates folder, because it will ask you for permission and you will have to do, you will have to fiddle with a few things, settings and things that I don't really like to do that, because by chance you might mess up something and then your Illustrator doesn't work anymore, and I don't want to be blamed for it. So, and I don't want to mess up my template, so I won't do that. So here I already have, so to save it, I just create a folder in my computer with the title My Templates, for example, and you can save them there. I already saved this one, but I'm just going to show you anyway. So if you write Quadrant template, and it will give you this extension AIT. So that's the template. You save it, yeah. And then when you want to use the template, you go to File, New from Template, and you go to your file where you saved it. You choose the template, and then at this point, it will come up as untitled, not as template. So you go to the layer artwork, you do your drawing. So let's see. Oops, we're not showing the clipping mask. There you go. Actually, I wanted to do something more like make sure you are in the artwork layer when you're drawing, otherwise it might not work. Let's pretend this is a circle. Okay, I tried to do it better. All right, you can use, of course, the pen tool, the pencil tool. You don't have to use the brush tool. And for certain things, you can mix them. For certain things, it might be easier to do, like if you want to do a circle. But this is not too bad, actually. And then I would do a petal. There you go. I don't like that one. Okay. So, I don't know. We can leave it like that for now, I think. Okay. You can do all your decorations, all sorts of things. Then when you have your motif, what I like to do is actually make a copy of this layer. So if you want to go back, change something here, because this is not very complicated, but you might have done something a bit more complicated and you don't want to lose it, because what we're going to do now will basically get rid of all the possibility of making any change that is symmetrical like this. So I'm going to show you anyway, just in case I'm not making any sense. So we click and drag this layer where the plus sign is, and as you can see, it makes a copy. So we can lock and make this invisible, and we can work with this layer. I might just put it at the bottom here. The rest we need to unlock everything and just select everything. Probably the guide could have stayed locked. And then we go to Object, Expand Appearance. So this gets rid of basically most of the layers. And what we need to do next, with everything still selected, we go to the Pathfinder menu here, and we go to Merge. And this basically gives you a motif that you can use in another document. So let's say we want to make a pattern with this. So we create a new document. We created CMYK 300 dpi. So we go back to this one, we copy it, Control C and Control V, and now we can color it. For example, if we take the bucket tool, and I'm gonna use a color palette that I have because I don't like these colors are a bit too exuberant for me. So let's choose a nice pink. We make this, and then something green. We do the sepals, I think they're called, and maybe an orange for the center. And then of course we need to expand it every time you use the bucket tool. So Object, Expand. And then if you want, you can, of course I did it with a bit of not very careful, a bit just to show you. But you can be more precise. And I'm just double clicking. So I go to the black layer, and at this point you can do select, where is it? Same fill and stroke. So it will select all the black, and you can delete it, and you can have this sort of effect. Or you can give the black stroke another color if you want. And you have a little flower that you can use for your pattern. And of course you can do different flowers. You can go back to your template, for example. You can open a new one, of course. Or you can, let's get rid of that one, go back to this one, and I think it's probably best to open a new one. But you can modify this, or you can delete it and make a new flower. But I do like to start afresh. If you don't need this anymore, if you're sure you don't want to use it anymore, then you can just delete it, close the file, and that's it. If you want to keep it for the future, then you can do that as well. So this was the Quadrant template, and then in the next lesson I'm going to show you how to make a different type of template, a little bit more, I don't want to say difficult, but a little bit more complex, but still it's not going to be that bad to do. Once you've done this one, you will understand how to do the other ones, and I'll show you anyway. Okay, I'll see you in the next lesson.